I'm Peter Dench. I'm a photojournalist, which means I provide images for imprint and online news outlets. And I've been doing this for about 26 years, often focusing on how the English behave. So today I'm down at Arsenal versus Chelsea in the English Premier League. I'm travelling quite light today, so I've brought along my Billingham Hadley Pro in black flash, the Olympus FL 900R. It's a bit of a bleak day, so this will allow me to pop in some colour, get them saturated, put a highlight in my subject's eye. And it's going on top of my OM System OM5. The lens I'm pairing it with is the 12 to 100 millimeter Olympus 1.4, which will give me enough versatility today to shoot wide and also sort of be a bit more inconspicuous, compress perspective and pick out faces. I may only be a few miles from where I live, but I treat this assignment as if I was 100 or 1,000 miles from where I live. So also in my bag, I have backups of everything. So I'm using an OMD EM1 Mark III with a 12 to 45 mm lens. And I always say I don't treat it as a second camera. These are both equal and I might use them in tandem. But it's just common sense if you're a professional photographer to make sure that you're prepared if kit fails. And I've also got a spare flash here, which is the FL 600R. A bag of spare batteries, memory cards, water, hand sanitizer, and snacks. And we're ready to go. Is this the Emirates? Well, yes it is. And it's a big day today. Arsenal are currently top of the table on goal difference. If they win tonight, they'll be 3 points clear of their rivals. It's a home game against London rivals Chelsea. So pre-match, I'm thinking the mood's going to be quite optimistic. We'll see how that develops. So obviously Arsenal playing red, Chelsea playing blue. So I'm wearing all black. Most of my wardrobe at home is red or blue, but I don't want to show allegiance to either team. It would be quite tempting to wear an Arsenal badge to try and blend, pretend I belong. But football fans can sniff out authenticity. If they started talking to me about the Arsenal team, I wouldn't be able to name them. So I'm just trying to be as neutral as I can and find characters and absorb the atmosphere, just looking for those moments of interest amongst the crowd. So we're down here quite early, just to see everything building up. For me, that's quite important, to get a lay of the land, feel the vibe, and then feel I belong. So to shoot through the event and then try and understand what happened from the edit. This isn't a reportage about Arsenal versus Chelsea. It's much bigger than that. It's a reportage about fans, about obsession, about heroes, about uniform, about humankind. So what I'm trying to achieve today is just a few pictures that will feed into a bigger archive. A look at the nation, a look at football as a global phenomenon. And if Arsenal do win the league, who knows, it could happen, then pictures from today could become an important part of history. So settings for me, pretty straightforward. I shot for film for the first 10 years of my career, and I can't segue away from that. So it's on manual, ISO 400, sometimes I'll knock it down to 250, f8, and this flash will only sync up to a 250th of a second. So I'll be sort of round about 125th. And I'm using TTL, so through the lens. If it brightens up, I might actually pump it up to +1, but at the moment it's just sort of regulating itself, and it won't wash out my subjects, because it'll monitor the light levels. So what I'm hoping for is just a slightly darker background, and then the flash will make the subject pop and bring it to the fore. I wish you could be here with me and smell the onions. That is the accompaniment to any football match in England. So the benefits of shooting in a crowd is, their focus is on the game. They've got somewhere to go. It's not on me, so I can go about my business relatively easy. But then the downside is they're all in flow, So I have to try and find static moments within the chaos and almost kind of see through the distractions of the scarves and the flags and focus on what it is I'm here to capture. And at the moment, I'm not sure. So we're just going to try and find a pub to photograph in. People congregate before the game, have a pint, lots of traditions associated with being a fan and going to a sporting event. What cafe you meet at, what you wear, what you drink before you go. There's a lot of superstition built into that. So I just want to head into one of these pubs and get a flavour for what's going on. That's why I'm a photographer. Been down here about an hour and a half, things weren't going well, wasn't really shooting well, and then you walk past a little gem like this, you get invited in, and within 10-15 minutes the fortunes turn around, and now I'm beaming on the outside and on the inside, because that was a real thrill. And that reminds me why, as a photojournalist, you have to make the effort. You have to keep grafting, and that scene will stay with me for a long time, and I think will sort of be a crucial part of the shoot today and going forward. And so this is quite a good place to position myself for potential shots. We've got a travel hub, so people are arriving, they're meeting friends, there's food stalls, so where people gather rather than chasing images around the neighbourhood and around the stadium. Sometimes it's beneficial just to stay put, and let the images come to me. Yeah, this is quite a tricky situation because of the flow of people. So I'm just looking for like tattoos or old style shirts and scarves, or, you know, trying to get across the international mix of fans as well, I think is quite important, because this is quite a small neighbourhood of North London, but people travel from across the globe to get here. I've already met people from New Zealand and America who are here specifically to attend this game. So because there's such a swarm of people, sometimes it's easier if I just stay put. And if I keep low, it takes me out of the eye line of people. And because they've got somewhere to go, they're not necessarily concerned about what I'm doing. And there's so much here to photograph that they won't necessarily think it's them that I'm photographing. And I think that's fine. You know, we're in a public space. So, you know, by law, I'm allowed to take these kind of photographs. So I'm shooting quite wide and I'm shooting quite close to the subjects because I think you can be quite inconspicuous like that. And I like to smell the people that I'm photographing, whether they're boozy or whether they've been doing pop or whatever, and it just allows me to interact with them audibly as well. So in big crowds, it is good to be aware to some extent what you're photographing. And there's lots of subcultures within football fans, which you learn to identify by photographing events like this on a repeat basis. So I'm noticing a lot of fans wearing Stone Island clothing, Sergio Tacchini, Aqua Scooter, and that generally suggests that they're of the football terrace casual culture movement, and that element, you know, might be the more ultra side of the fans. So, you know, you have to have your wits about you to a certain extent. But as I say, before the game, half an hour before kick-off, it's still pretty good humoured, and both sets of fans are mixing with each other. So maybe if you are starting out photographing fans or football culture, it might be advisable to go to an area that you are familiar with, start at your local club. You know, the more you turn up, the more people you talk to, the more introductions you make, the more confident you'll feel when you return, and then you'll start to learn your skills. You'll start to understand the rhythm of a day. When the crowd starts to turn, you know, you'll become familiar with the atmosphere. It's kind of like a dance, you know. And as your confidence builds, you know, you can take those skills that you've learned, you know, into different environments such as this. The photographing in crowds and events like this, it can be overwhelming, at times intimidating. So what I find helpful is to have certain keywords in my head to look out for, you know, amongst the chaos. So that could be everything from food, footwear, football shirts, and others not beginning with F. So the match is about to kick off, and my work is done. I'm going to head for a pint, maybe have a hot dog. Hopefully there's been some nuggets of inspiration for you on how to shoot events and fans. Please feel free to ask questions in the comments below, and myself or the team will hopefully get back to you and answer them. And if you do use any of these tips in your own photography, we'd love to see what you do. So please use the hashtag WexHowTo.